Have you ever looked at a painting and just had this urge to reach out and touch it? Or maybe you've seen a sculpture and could almost imagine what it would feel like in your hands. Art is so much more than just what we see. It's a full-on experience. And today, we're going to dive into the secret ingredient that makes that happen: texture. Just take a look at this incredible suit of armor. I mean, wow. Without even touching it, you can almost feel it, right? You can imagine that cool, slick surface of the polished metal, and then you've got those sharp, really intricate patterns carved right into it. That feeling, that imagined sense of touch, is a huge part of how we connect with a piece of art.
Well, that feeling, it has a name. It's called texture. And it's the element of art that's all about how things feel, or maybe more importantly, how they look like they might feel. It's a totally fundamental building block that artists use to add depth, interest, and even emotion to their work.
So what does that actually mean? Basically, texture is the surface quality of a piece, or at least how we perceive it. And it doesn't matter if it's a 3D sculpture you can actually walk up to and touch, or a flat 2D painting that's just creating an illusion. Both are using texture to talk to us. And texture isn't some obscure, high-level concept. It fits right in as one of the 7 essential elements of art, right alongside things we're all familiar with, like color and line. This is stuff that kids learn about as early as 4th grade. It's one of the absolute basics.
Okay, so if it applies to both 2D and 3D art, how does that work? Well, artists basically have 2 main ways of using texture. And if you've ever been in a museum and had to fight that urge to just reach out and touch something, you've already had a run-in with one of them.
On one hand, you've got physical texture. You can also call it actual or tactile texture. This is the real deal. It's the lumpy surface of a clay sculpture, the rough grain of wood. You can physically feel it. But on the other hand, you have visual or implied texture. Now this is the artist's magic trick. It's the illusion of a surface, created using other tools like shading and color to fool your eyes into thinking a texture is there. Okay, so that's the theory. But how do artists or even young art students actually put these ideas into practice? How do you learn to see and create and play with texture to make your art really pop?
Let's actually take a peek into a classroom and see this in action. We're going to do a quick run-through of some really cool hands-on projects that show exactly how these ideas come to life.
First up, we've got textured clay castles. This is all about that physical texture. Students are sculpting the clay to feel like rough, craggy stone walls, and then they contrast that with super smooth, shiny glazes on the towers. The whole thing becomes this amazing object with all these different surfaces to feel. Next, papier-mâché donuts. I love this one. By just layering paper and paste, the students build these bumpy, lumpy, wonderfully imperfect shapes. Again, it's a perfect example of creating a very real, very physical texture that you just want to pick up and hold.
Okay, this project is seriously clever. The kids draw an insect on paper, but with glue. Then, after it dries, they press aluminum foil over the top. The dried glue creates these raised lines under the foil. It's a technique called relief, and you get this fascinating physical texture beneath the totally smooth and shiny surface.
All right, now for a big shift. Let's talk implied texture. Here, students are using soft chalk on dark paper to create these jellyfish. And by blending the colors just right, they create the illusion that the jellyfish are soft, maybe a little slimy, and even glowing. There's nothing actually gooey on the paper, but it sure looks like it, doesn't it? That is visual texture at its absolute best.
So, we've seen how texture is made, but what about how we talk about it? Because getting a handle on texture doesn't just make our art better, it makes our vocabulary for describing the world so much richer. I mean, just listen to these words: jagged, spongy, silky, gritty, bubbly, coarse, velvety, prickly, slick, woolly. Each one instantly paints a picture and a feeling in your mind. You can almost feel them just by hearing them. That's the power of the language of texture.
There's this great line from Owl Location that says it all. Get the right word, and you will almost magically convey the sensation to your reader. And that just proves it, right? Understanding texture isn't just for artists. It's crucial for writers, for speakers, really for anyone who wants to communicate in a more vivid way.
Okay, so we've established that texture is a core part of art and a powerful tool for communication. But what's the big picture here? Why does this really matter? What's the so what?
Well, engaging with texture really does change how we experience the world. For one, it enhances our perception. It basically trains our eyes and our hands to notice all the little details around us. 2, it boosts creativity. because it pushes us to experiment with different materials and new ways of doing things. And 3, as we just saw, it seriously improves our communication by giving us the words to share our experiences more accurately.
And really, that's the whole idea in a nutshell. What starts out as a simple art project in a classroom, making a foil insect or a clay castle, it blossoms into something so much bigger. It becomes a deeper, more meaningful way of seeing, feeling, and describing this incredible, multi-textured world that we all live in.
So I'll leave you with this challenge. The next time you're walking outside, or you pick up an object, or just look closely at the wall of a building, what new textures are you going to notice? What new details will jump out at you? Because once you start really looking for texture, I promise you are going to see it absolutely everywhere.